The alien soldier woman saw me fighting barehanded and said, "I wish you were my husband." Beginning. The arena floor was slick with dust and blood. I wasn't supposed to be here, at least not in the center of the massive stone circle, surrounded by 10-foot-tall reptilian guards chanting in a language I only half understood. I was just a human freight pilot, stranded after my cargo hauler had been seized by patrols of the Serac Dominion. To them, I was nothing more than an intruder caught in forbidden space. Execution was standard for trespassers. But apparently, the Serac had a crueler pastime: forced combat exhibitions. That was why I found myself barefoot, stripped to my undershirt and cargo pants, standing in a pit meant for warriors twice my size. Around me, hundreds of Serac spectators roared, their scaled throats producing a sound that shook the ground like thunder. The announcer's voice boomed, "Let the human prove his worth, or perish." The gate clanked open. From the shadows lumbered a beast, for arms plated hide and tusks like knives. A gladiator creature bred for slaughter. I had no weapon, no armor, nothing but my fists. I should have died in the first 30 seconds. Instead, instinct and training I buried long ago kicked in. Before I was a pilot, I'd been a Marine. Barehanded combat was drilled into me like breathing. The creature lunged. I sidestepped, drove my elbow into its throat, ducked another swipe, and rammed my knee up into its gut. The impact echoed, like steel striking steel. It staggered. The crowd gasped. Adrenaline surged. Every movement became sharper, faster. I ducked under another blow, wrapped my arm around its thick neck, and wrenched with all the strength left in me. Bones cracked. The beast fell, twitching. Silence rippled through the Colosseum. A human, tiny, fragile, soft-skinned, had killed a Serac war beast with nothing but bare hands. And then the roar came, shaking the walls. That was when I saw her. Up in the command balcony, armored in gleaming obsidian plates, stood a tall Serac soldier woman. She was different from the others, slimmer, but no less imposing. Her eyes, burning gold, locked onto mine. Unlike the jeers of the others, her expression was unreadable. But then her lips moved, the translator on my collar catching her voice. "I wish you were my husband." The crowd cheered again, thinking she mocked me, but her gaze never wavered, and something about her tone made my chest tighten. Middle. They didn't execute me that night. Instead, I was dragged in chains to the military barracks of Captain Sirtis Vera. Her, the alien soldier woman who had spoken those words. Up close, she was even more fearsome. 7 feet tall, clad in sleek armor that seemed to mold perfectly to her body. Her scaled skin shimmered a deep emerald, marked with scars that looked more like honor sigils and wounds. Her presence filled the room like a storm. "You fight without fear," she said in accented standard, pacing around me. Few Serac males possess such spirit. I wasn't fighting to impress, I muttered. I was fighting to live. "Life, husband, it is the same," she said cryptically. Then, lowering her voice, "Do you know what you've done? Survived?" Her slit-pupiled eyes narrowed, then softened. "You've embarrassed their chosen champion. You've embarrassed the council. They cannot kill you now, because the people saw you win." That was my first taste of Serac politics. Here, strength was law. By surviving, I had become an unwilling symbol. Days passed. Instead of prison, I remained in her custody. She allowed me food, water, and freedom of movement within her quarters. And every day, she trained with me. At first, I thought it was mockery. But it wasn't. She wanted to learn. I taught her human grappling techniques, joint locks, and strikes. In turn, she taught me Serac blade forms, their dual sword stances, and ways to anticipate attacks from larger foes. It was an exchange of cultures, carried out in sweat and bruises. And every evening, when training ended, she would watch me with an expression I couldn't quite name. Respect? Admiration? Longing? Finally, one night, after we collapsed on the mat, she spoke again. "In my people's way," she said slowly, "to wish for a husband is no light phrase. It means recognition, to bind, to honor." I stared at her. "You can't be serious. I'm human. You're Serac," she finished. "Different bone, different skin, but not so different in the heart." I laughed bitterly. "Your kind captured me. They were going to kill me for sport." She tilted her head. "And yet you live, because I chose it, because I wanted to know you." Silence lingered. My chest felt tight again, and I realized I was afraid, not her strength, but the way her words stirred something I thought I'd buried years ago. Then alarms blared. A coup had begun. The Dominion was fracturing. Rival warlords sought to overthrow the High Council, and the spark was lit inside the very city where I was kept. Explosions shook the barracks. Soldiers rushed through the corridors. Vera seized her twin blades and turned to me. "If you stay here, you die. If you follow me, you may live." "Not much of a choice," I muttered, grabbing a fallen guard shock spear. We fought side by side through chaos. Her strikes were precise, each movement honed from decades of soldiering. I kept low, darting under enemy guards, disabling with quick jabs and sweeps. Against all odds, we were effective. At one point, surrounded by 3 enemies, she deflected 2 blades with her crossed swords, leaving the third exposed. I darted in, slammed my fist into his throat, and he crumpled. She glanced at me with a fierce grin. "You fight as though we trained together for years." "Maybe we have." I shot back. We carved a bloody path out of the barracks, into the burning city beyond. For days, we moved as fugitives. The coup turned the city into a war zone, Serac battling Serac. We hid in the ruins, scavenging supplies, stealing food, and always moving. And during those days, I saw a different side of her. When she wasn't a soldier, she was almost tender. She bound my wounds with careful hands. She shared stories of her youth, how she had risen through the ranks despite being female, in a culture that valued male warriors more, how she had never found a mate, because none had ever matched her spirit. And then, one night by the fire, she confessed softly, "When I saw you fight barehanded, I thought, this one is mine. This one has a spirit that does not break." I swallowed hard. "You're serious, aren't you? You really meant it." Her golden eyes burned into mine. "Yes." I didn't answer right away. My mind was a storm. How could I, a stranded human pilot, even think about bonding with an alien warrior of a species that had nearly executed me? And yet, I remembered the way she fought beside me, the way she looked at me not as prey, but as an equal, maybe more than equal. Ending. The coup ended with the city in ruins. A new warlord rose, declaring himself ruler of the Dominion. Those loyal to the old council were purged. Vera, as a captain, was marked for death. We had only one choice: escape. The starport was heavily guarded, but if we could reach it, I might be able to steal a ship. We spent 3 nights scouting patrols, memorizing routes, preparing. On the 4th night, we struck. The battle through the port was chaos. Gunfire lit the hangars. I fought with a stolen rifle, covering her as she cut down guards with whirling blades. For every enemy that came close, she was a tempest of steel. For every gap in her defense, I was there, striking, shooting, driving them back. At last, we reached a small courier ship. I hacked the hatch, system sparking to life. As we climbed aboard, more guards poured into the hangar. "Go!" I shouted. "I'll hold them." But she shoved me inside. No, together. Side by side, we fought down the ramp, holding the line until the engines roared. Then we dove inside, sealing the hatch as the ship blasted upward into the stars. Silence fell as the planet shrank beneath us. My hands shook on the controls. She stood beside me, her armor scorched, her face streaked with blood. And yet, when she looked at me, she smiled. "You are mine now," she said softly. I should have resisted, should have reminded her we were from different worlds, different species, with no future together. But instead, I felt the words leave my lips before I could stop them. Maybe I always was. Her massive hand closed gently over mine, warm, steady. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like a man running from death. I felt like a man running toward something. As the stars stretched into hyperspace, I realized the truth. The alien soldier woman had seen me fighting barehanded. And maybe, just maybe, she was right. I wasn't just her prisoner, her comrade, or her equal. I was hers, and she was mine.